Good afternoon. I hope that around 40 people is there, so we can start. Can you hear me properly? Is it okay? Vimukti, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's start the discussion, and hopefully I will do some very brief summary about the lectures I have done. I have discussed with you uh, and things uh, you have to done. Sorry, the things you have to practice before the exam. So I will discuss these things with you today, and our agreement is not conduct two discussions. So anyway, I will do it for you. Okay, so this is the first lecture we have discussed about the quality management. So I hope you all can remember the things we discussed and the learning outcomes, right? So you can read the one by one and you have done it or not, right? So then it will be easy to uh, answer all the questions, right? And the key area. So we have discussed these things that initially the quality. What is quality is very important, and don't never expect this. What is the meaning of quality, right? So I'm not going to ask this question anyway. And we have discussed why quality is important and uh, who is responsible for quality. Everything we have discussed, right? So quality means at the end of the day, it is customer expectation. We have to survive under the environment. It means the external environment and internal environment is there. So when it comes to internal environment, we have rules and regulations which are developed by the company, and there are some external laws, regulations, and document standards. So all these things are very important to survive and for the continuous improvement also. So quality means at the end of the day, we have to satisfy our customers, right? While adhering to the laws, regulations, standards, the things recognized by the nationally and internationally recognized things, right? Okay. So how what is quality control and quality assurance? So you may heard these two words. These are very common words, and you can see these words in paper advertisements and job vacancies everywhere. So what are the differences in between quality control and assurance? So when it comes to assurance, so you know what is assurance, right? So it is actually a big process. Quality controlling means we have developed standards, we have developed procedures, everything, but he or she, the quality control manager and the division responsible for the monitoring, right? He's or she is going to monitor things, effects, and report these things. But quality assurance manager, he is going to take the action and problem solving, analysis, everything he's doing these things, right? And quality management is total. It is actually a yes, Mukti. Any question? Mukti, do you have a question?
කැඩි කැඩි ඇහින්නේ මේ කනෙක්ෂන් මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා වගේ.
ආමත් එහෙමද? මොකද දැන් හරිද ඔයගොල්ලෝ?
දැන් හරි.
I am not can, right? So, so we have discussed these things under quality control and assurance. So give me a minute, I will log with another connection. Give me a minute. I think now it's okay. So, we have discussed the total quality management and quality assurance, everything, and several examples also discussed. I think these are familiar with you, and the examples also discussed. So I'm not going to explain these things. And the umbrella, I hope it is a very good example, very good diagram for you to remember the things. And the metal parts, they are belongs to quality control assurance, right? Metal parts. The quality management system means a cloth, right? It means each parts are responsible. Each parts are critical to have to develop this type of umbrella, right? Right. All these parts have responsibility, but quality management system means actually it is a system. So quality assurance and quality controls are within the quality management system, right? So this is the first one, and the second one. So you can see the second lecture we have discussed, right? Here we have discussed why quality management is important. So these things discussed. Then PDCA cycle. And in my paper, you need not to remember the things, right? The definitions, all these things you need not to remember. But what you have to carefully read these things and understand and grab the things, technical things. And imagine you are a technologist. You are going to be a technologist, ne? So therefore, but now also you have to take decisions based on your technological knowledge. Therefore, always think that you are a technologist and give answers. But my the first advice is please carefully read the questions. But the last time also the people have the students have very good marks, but unfortunately very good students were there. I know they are very clever, but they didn't read the question carefully. So the question is around what is quality management, but they have answered what is quality. So that should not happen this time, right? So you have enough time. I think in this paper you have one structured and one essay. So there are two essay questions, but you have to answer only one question, right? And the structured there are around I can't remember exactly. Suppose there are 10 structured questions, very short questions, right? For all the questions, you have to give your own answers. Sometimes the things available in the question paper, it's not familiar. So in this lecture series, we have discussed about the quality. But sometimes in your paper, there are sometimes engineering parts may be there. Machine development, machine designing also will be there. I'm not sure, I don't know. Everything has been done and submitted to the examination department. So what you have to do is please read the questions carefully and understand and think on time, right? Think on the time you have and the spaces you have given. And sometimes actually I will show my um, answer sheet after the exam. So there are only very few answers. So other questions I have given based marks for the student answer, right? So if you are going to give me any answer, any different answer, so sometimes I believe that I need to get the answer as A, but you have given the B, but the definitions are there. So you will have, definitely you will have marks, right? So the question paper, it is a common one, general one. Anybody can answer. Anybody can read it and understand and answer, right? So you are technologists, you know what is quality and the concepts we have discussed. We have also discussed. So think on the. I think all these things are in your brain. So look at the question by using the things you know about the quality, right? That should happen. And sometimes you can draw diagrams and you can draw some pictures or diagrams. So those things are also acceptable, right? I will accept all these things. So PDCA means plan, do, check, and act. Here you can see, according to the ISO 9001, how to define the PDCA cycle. So I'm not going to explain these things. These things are very, very easy. And 5 eyes, how to ask the questions with a view to identify the root cause. And fishbone diagram, when it comes to fishbone diagrams, so sometimes you will have question to solve the problem, right? There will be, and sometimes you will have a case study. So the question is there, problem is there, then you can select one of the key tool you have studied, then select the tool and apply the things as you know, right? Don't try to take the pictures and draw this diagram on your hand and remember. Don't try to remember, right? If you need any equation, anything, I will give you. I have given all these things in on your paper, so don't try to remember the things. Uh, but technology, it is very important. Technique and technologies, everything is important. So uh, as an example, sometimes you will have question, as I told you earlier, regarding a problem, actual problem, then you can give the answer based on these techniques and technologies and justify why you have selected this, right? That's only 7 call tools. So there are 7: check sheet, Pareto sheet, stratification histogram, like this. And how to select these things: frequent intervals, qualitative data, quantitative data, right? So we call this as a check sheet and tally sheets. So there are different terms, neither, right? And Pareto charts. What is the 80-20 rule? In your structured essay paper, you will have a question. Please define the 80-20 rule, right? Never expect these questions. No, you don't have such. You will not have such questions. So how do where we can apply this Pareto chart? Where we can apply this 80-20 rule? That is important, right? And if you have, fortunately, if you have this diagram in your paper, then how to take decisions. So sometimes you will have a graph, sorry, not a graph, picture or figure. Then, uh, then how to discuss, right? How to discuss that figure? That is important. This is a Pareto chart, right? Right? And you can see two axes, x-axis and y-axis. What are the axes? And how to select axis? Maybe a what do you call dependent factor or independent factor? And what is where we can select the 80-20 rule? And how to get this? That's all, right? Don't try to answer. Don't try to write half. Always try to write your answers as a point form answers, right? Okay. Second, so you have only 6 lectures, right? When you collect all the slides together, it is maximum around 200 slides, right? It means around around 30 or 15 A4s you have, right? For my lectures. For other lectures, you have 150 papers, right? 150 A4s. And all these pictures are, they also have a value, right? May have a picture value, right? Okay. Stratification is important. How to stratify the things we have discussed, all these things, stratification with very good examples, right? I hope that you all can remember those examples. What are the differences and what are the advantages of stratification, right? How to stratify, how to implement these things in an industrial level, right? So we have AET, IBST, and food people. So always you have common questions. So do not look at the questions based on your subject, right? ඔගොල්ලෝ මොන stream එකේ වුණත් ඔගොල්ලන්ට answer කරන්න පුළුවන් questions දීලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා food questions ද agri questions ද IBST questions නෑ. ඔගොල්ලෝ quality විතරක් දැනගෙන හිටියාම you can give your answers for all questions, right? Right. I think the last year, I think you have this question. Paper, so you can go through it. And histograms. Why histograms are important? How it differ from other things, other quality tools, and what is upper specification limit and lower specification limit. So as we studied, we need to get the previous data. We need to get the expertise from other people to design these limits, right? Then you can't give those limits, right? So if you are going to give the limits, define these limits, so you should have very good experience or at least good data set, right? So all these technical parts are important, neither. My graph process centers that is useless, right? Then I ask you to that I will do I will do a Excel. I will do some calculations using Excel. So I don't have time to do that. So anyway, after the exam, you need not to use any software, right? You need not to use any software for this exam. But after the exam, I will upload that session that is not relevant to this lecture series. But you can use those things in when you are studying in industry, when you are working in industry. So I will upload that one to the LMS and we'll share the link even into the YouTube. After the exam, you can get these things, right? Is it okay? The histograms, right? Right? And cause and effect diagram. So we have discussed what are the six important areas, right? So likewise, scatter diagrams, right? Here you can see 6 designs, different designs here. So here also you can get decisions based on the styles and the designs, right? And the deviations, data spread, how the data has spread, right? You can use all the things. If I give you data, so you can draw these diagrams and figures, and sometimes I will give you these diagrams, then you have to define, right? I'm not sure, so please bring your pencil and the rulers, everything you need. Sometimes you have to draw diagrams, sometimes you have to draw graph, right? Then take the necessary things to the exam, right? How to design these things. And in a control chart, so it is what are the differences in between control charts and histograms, right? So you can compare these things and the correct characteristics available here, right? What are the characteristics? Here also we have upper control limits and lower control limits, but what are the differences in between these things, right? Control charts are very important in any industries. It's very important. Okay, also you can see some examples. And fourth one, the fifth one, it is about hazards, right? This is very important. Please understand these hazards on carefully. It is very important uh, for you all. So I hope that you don't have any question. You had enough time to ask questions. Now it is you have solved all these out, all these things. And what are the differences between hazards and risks? So risk means hazard plus exposure, right? There are some examples, right? Hazard, sometimes the thing which will happen, sometimes it will be happening, right? This case, this hazard will happening, right? We can understand it, we can predict it, right? Its harm, its severity, we can imagine these things, right? Hazards. And you can see when it happens who are the responsible people, hazards. And in this example also you can see hazards. I have given several examples for all the definitions, so you need not to remember the definitions now, right? Then HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control point. So it is again very important, very practical thing. It is in any industry, agri, food or IBST, they need to get the HACCP certification for their products, right? So especially for food. And how to do the hazard analysis? Again, you need to have a professionalism and experience, right? Right now you have very good experience. So how to do hazard analysis, how to determine CCPs, you all know how to do these things, right? How to establish critical limits, monitoring procedures. So establish corrective action. What are the differences between corrective actions and critical limits, right? What are the verification procedures, record keeping? So all these things, you know the things, right? And you have studied about some standards for your assignment. You have studied these standards, and what is WHO and food ISO, what is SLSI. You have studied these things also. So hazard analysis is critical, and CCP determination. So we are using these are the hazards. So there are three types of hazards: biological, chemical, and physical. Likewise, there are three types of hazards. How to identify it? Brainstorming, experience, by studying the process, so you can identify the hazards, right? So suppose you are working, you are going to start your own industry, your own company. So you have to determine the process, right? Then how to identify the hazard? That is important, right? So you all have to do this hazard analysis, right? Then decision tree, I think the questions are a little bit complex, right? If it is difficult to understand, please copy paste these things to the Google Translate and understand. Right? ඕගොල්ලෝ මේක තේරෙන්න නැත්නම් Google Translate දාලා කරගන්න. Questions හතරයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒතර පළවෙනි question එක I will explain it again. Do preventive measures exist for the identified hazard? So we have identified hazard, right? Previously we have identified the hazard. We have discussed how to identify the hazard. Now we have hazards. Then do preventive measures exist? If it is a temperature, do preventive measures, right? Do we have any preventive measure? Right? එතකොට preventive measure එකක් නැත්නම්, right? අපි යනවා වෙන පැත්තකට. If we have a preventive measure, does the step specifically designed to eliminate or reduce the likelihood of occurrence of a hazard to an acceptable level, right? එතකොට අපි හිතමු just think that is about temperature. Do preventive measures exist for the identified hazard? It is a food dehydration plant, so the temperature is 60. So range is 50 to 65, 55 to 65. So measures are there. Then the second question, does the step specifically designed to eliminate or reduce the likely occurrence of hazard? So do we have a step to control the temperature or temperature monitoring, right? If yes, it is CCP. Right? So ultimately, what is a CCP is we can't control it further, right? There is only there are no more process. As an example, I will give, so you can imagine, so if you are going to fry something in your home, then unfortunately the temperature has been increased immediately. Then what happened? To the texture, totally changed. So you can't use it again, right? You can't use it again. There are no more things to do. That is actually an example for CCP. So if we, when we are cooking, the salt is, less salt is there. Then you can add soup, right? So that is not CCP. There is a process to add. Again, you can add salt, right? These are the examples, right? I think you got the thing. And how to measure the likelihood of occurrence and severity. So I hope you know the thing. You are familiarized with this table, right? But do not change the XY axis, right? And you can put value here based on your experience and requirement of your company. Hazard analysis, how to do these things. I'm not going to explain, right? The last one, it is about plant designing, right? Before designing your plant, processing plant, there are so many things to discuss, refer and adhere, right? It means there are some standards and regulations, government and international regulations and standards, and you can understand things, you have experience in these environments. So it is important to define your requirement, and based on the requirement, use a proper land, right? We have discussed, right, how to design it, right? How to lay concretes and aluminum designs, edges, how to do it, and how to avoid insects, right? And food soil, right? Here you can see how to avoid it, how to drain, develop good draining methods, right? Designs are there, and colors also important, right? You need to have a good understanding. And if we have hygienic areas and hot areas in our process, so all the hot machines, it is if we have suppose we have 3 areas: chill area, hot area, and normal room temperature. So it is better to use 3 separate areas, right? Do not mix the hot things and chill things together. එතකොට අපි ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ සුපර් මාකට්ස් වල රිෆ්‍රිජරේටර් එක දොර ගාව දාන්න එපා කියලා. Right? You can see so many mostly they have put their refrigerator very close to the door entrance. Then what happened? Temperature is high, contamination is high. So many disadvantages are there. So do not recommend somebody to the refrigerator at a hot place, right? And open space, right? So what is the purpose of having a refrigerator? To avoid microbes, to control microbes. So what is happening when we put it very close to the door and open area? Then again microbes will be there and temperature will increase. Electricity also, the electricity bill also will increase, right? So these things are very important. So now you have knowledge. So please use your knowledge technologically, scientifically, right? එතකොට මේ මම අහන්නේ නෑ මේ කොච්චර මේ food hygiene regulation එකේ how many parts පතක් තියෙනවා තුනක් ලියන්න ඒවා අහන්නේ නෑ කවදාවත්, right? And how to control noise, light and temperature, all these things we have discussed, right? So now it's your time. If you have any questions you can ask, right? Short questions you can ask because you had enough time to ask questions. Now I am not going to give all the answers, right? So the paper structure is there is structured essay question, one question, so one big question, there are subdivisions. So maximum I can't remember, around 10 questions will be there. And the second part, it is about the essay question. There are 2 essay questions, but only one question out of those 2, right? You have 2 hours. Language is also very easy, you can understand easily, and all the things you need, you required, we will provide. You have to bring your stationaries and relevant things, right? Papers, if you need any graph paper, then we will give. If we are not going to circulate any graph paper, then you can use your question paper or any other paper to draw your diagrams or charts. Right? Questions? Again, you have assignment. So you had this assignment, right? National and international standards for quality management. So ISO standards, here you can see you also studied and referred these things, and other national standards also. And what are the differences in between these ISO and national standards, right? So what type of standard we need to use for our production line, right? Or our export food products, or our export agricultural products, or our food extract, or our flavor extract. So you can comment on these things. But my advice is to the first advice, please read the question paper carefully. The second thing, you have questions, so please so first please read the instructions carefully. Second, please read the questions carefully. Then third, please make sure that you have confidence to write these questions. Write anything with the examples, and by mentioning why you have selected this method or this one, right? And you can draw diagrams. You can use any color pen, but avoid red and purple color pens. You can use other things, and if you need any equation or anything, I will give you. But fortunately, you don't need such equations in this module. So there are only 6 presentations. So please go through these things and read to exam. And I suppose you have the past paper with you. My past paper, so you can follow these things. And the exam is very easy. ගොඩාක් උත්තර ලියන්න යන්න එපා. ඡේද ගණන් only 2-3 papers also enough, right? Harrieta point out kala liyanna, because my questions are very what do you call, I am not going to ask any essays or short notes, so the questions are very point out questions, so you have to provide all the points carefully, right? If not, you will lose some marks, right? ප්‍රශ්න තියනවද? No, I can't do it. I can't share the answer script. I will share the paper, right? Answer script means it is actually not important. In the answer script, there are some guidelines, right? Thank you. So if you have more questions, so and sometimes you may interested to study the quality management in deep. If you are interested to study, then there are several books available, and you have some places to study, and I can help you to study those things. Actually, this is a very good place, and documentation is very important. How to develop manual and all these things are very important. If you are interested, then I can share these things with you. For only for interested people, right? Seems there are no more questions, so everything is ready. Paper is also ready. So I wish you all can get good marks, A+ for paper. Don't worry, I will give you, if you have written correct answers, I will give you all A+. So don't worry. Last time also the people, the students, more than around 90% they have A passes, and unfortunately there are some C also. So this time I think that you all have A pluses. So I wish that you all can get A, and please, I think it's a good chance to you have physical exams, so it's also a good chance, right? It seems there are no more questions, so we can wind up the discussion. Thank you for coming today for the discussion, and thank you for being with us in last few months. It was a great, actually, it's a great pleasure to work with you as you are a young technologist. So if you need any support regarding this quality and food and any my expertise, so I can help you if you have any stream. So always try to start your own thing and think differently, right? You all have you all have everything, right? How to manage these things are critical, right? So thank you very much, and wish you all the very best for your future years. Thank you.